The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the silence. It wasn't the peaceful kind of quiet like the calm before dawn. It was the kind of stillness that makes your skin crawl. Like the world was holding its breath, waiting for something. I rubbed my eyes, trying to shake off the strange feeling, but it lingered. The sun filtered through the curtains as it always did, casting the same warm glow across my room. Everything seemed perfectly normal, too normal. I sat up, the blanket falling away from my body, the cool morning air brushing against my skin. The familiar creak of the floorboards under my feet was a comfort, but the quiet wasn't. It felt wrong. I shook my head and stood up. The buzzing was faint, barely audible, like the hum of a dying fluorescent bulb. I glanced around my room, searching for the source, but it wasn't there. It never was. I went through my usual routine, brushing my teeth, pouring myself a bowl of cereal, staring at the clock. But then I noticed something strange. The second hand was still. I leaned in closer, my face inches from the clock, and watched it closely. It ticked, but not like it should. It didn't move when I was looking directly at it. When I looked away for a moment, the second hand jerked forward, but by the time I glanced back, it was back where it had started. A shiver ran down my spine. I tried to ignore it and went about my day. I picked out clothes from my closet, the familiar shirts and pants hanging exactly as they always had. But something wasn't right. The fabric felt off, like it had been handled by someone who didn't understand how clothes should hang. One sleeve of my jacket slowly lifted, as if reaching for something, and then dropped when I blinked. I took a step back, trying to make sense of it, but I couldn't. I opened the door to the living room, hoping to find something familiar, something that would reassure me, but there was nothing. My dog, Rufus, wasn't waiting by the door like he always did. He wasn't wagging his tail or even barking. Instead, he was staring at the front door, eyes wide, his fur standing up on end. He didn't move, didn't even acknowledge me as I approached. I crouched down, calling his name softly, but he didn't respond. His gaze was fixed on something I couldn't see. "Rufus," I called again, louder this time. He turned his head slightly, his eyes still locked on the door, and then he sniffed the air. His ears twitched. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. I pushed the thought aside and went to the bathroom to get ready. As I stood in front of the mirror, brushing my hair, I noticed my reflection. It was off. It wasn't like the normal kind of off, like when you look in a mirror and your mind plays tricks on you. No, this was something different. My reflection was a fraction of a second too slow, mimicking my every movement, but with a slight delay. When I smiled, the reflection twitched as if it wasn't sure how to smile back. I stared at it, and for a moment, I could have sworn it was staring back at me like it was waiting for me to make the first move. A strange chill crept down my spine. I decided to check my phone, hoping that maybe a text or a missed call would bring some sense of normalcy to the morning. But there was nothing. No missed calls, no notifications, not a single update. The wallpaper on my phone was my usual photo. Me with my friends at the lake last summer, but something was wrong. The faces of my friends were blurry, their smiles not matching their eyes. One figure in the background wasn't facing forward. It was facing away, a figure I didn't recognize, someone who wasn't supposed to be there. I tapped the screen again, hoping it was a glitch, but the image stayed the same. That's when I heard it. Someone called my name from the hallway. It sounded like my mom, or maybe it was my roommate, Emma, but the voice was too calm, too rehearsed. When I turned to look, she was smiling at me, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice sharp, almost mechanical. "You've been quiet today." It felt wrong. I nodded, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, just tired." But then she asked the same question again. "Are you okay?" I froze. She was looking at me too intently, as if she was waiting for something. A flicker of recognition, maybe. Something that would signal I wasn't who I appeared to be. I took a step back, but then I overheard something. A whisper, barely audible, but I heard it clearly. "Not to you." into the earpiece that isn't there. My heart skipped a beat. I wanted to run, to escape, but I couldn't. Not yet. I had to understand what was happening. As I tried to process what I had just heard, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma. The text was short and cryptic. I know, I'm sorry, they don't remember you anymore. The words felt like a punch to the gut. My mind raced. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. But it was. The truth was clear now, what I had been feeling all morning. The strange silence, the unnatural stillness, the buzzing in the background, it all made sense. The sleep switch event. I wasn't the only one. Every time I went to sleep, I was replaced. The real me was taken, and a perfect replica, a hollow, took my place. It looked like me, it talked like me, it even smiled like me. But it wasn't me. It couldn't be. The worst part. Everyone knew. Everyone around me had seen it happen before. They knew what to look for, knew how to pretend, how to act like nothing was wrong. They were trying to keep me from realizing the truth. They were pretending not to notice the crack. I began to notice the little things, tiny imperfections that had been copied wrong. A scar on my wrist was missing. My handwriting was different now, neater, more controlled, but wrong. I could feel it in my bones. Something about me had changed, and the people around me knew. They knew I wasn't the original. As I looked in the mirror again, I caught my reflection, only this time it wasn't just a second behind. It was standing still, watching me, its eyes locked on mine. And then it blinked. The last shred of my sanity shattered. I couldn't stay. I had to leave, to get away from this nightmare. But as I turned to run, I heard the soft hum again, that buzzing in the air, the same hum I had heard when I first woke up. And then I heard it, the sound of breathing coming from the closet. I froze. I didn't have time to think. I ran, but as I reached the door, I turned one last time to look at the house, my home, the place I had known all my life. It was gone. Nothing was the same anymore, and I wasn't sure if I ever would be either.